السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن اهتدى بهديه واتبع ملته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم آمين. In the name of Allah, most compassionate, most merciful, we praise Allah, we glorify His name, and we thank Him for all that He has given us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and to make us among those who follow the path of Prophet Muhammad. May Allah send His peace and blessings upon His Prophet, upon His companions and His family, and upon all those who follow His guidance until the Day of Judgment. And may Allah Azza wa Jal make us among them. يقول المولى عز وجل بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الله الذي جعل لكم الليل لتسكنوا فيه والنهار مبصرا إن الله لذو فضل على الناس ولكن أكثر الناس لا يشكرون. ويقول تعالى: ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in these two verses that I chose for us today, it is Allah who has made the night for you, that you may rest therein, and has made the day allowing sight, providing visibility. Allah is gracious towards the people, but most people do not give thanks. And in the other ayah, and of His signs is that He created for you mates or spouses from among yourselves, so that you may find tranquility in them. And He planted love and compassion between you. In this are signs for people who reflect. So in these two verses, we heard two operative words here, two operative words. لا يشكرون, or give thanks, or يشكرون, give thanks, and يتفكرون, or reflect. And there are other ayahs that are very similar in structure to these two ayahs that I read today. And there, the operative verb is يسمعون, to listen, or يبصرون, to see, أو يعقلون, to reason, or يتدبرون, to ponder. So these are all verbs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, and usually these follow signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing us towards. Now, what do all these verbs have in common? What they have in common is the fact that they point us towards an act of worship that has no outward physical manifestation. In prayer, we have certain acts, certain movements that we follow. In Hajj, in Ramadan, we give up food. All these things, they have certain physical manifestations. But يتذكرون, to reflect, or يتدبرون, to reason or to ponder, these have no physical attributes. They have no physical manifestation. Even the verbs يبصرون, to see, are not related to the physical sight. They are related to the blindness of the heart, not the blindness of the eyes. They are related to seeing with one's heart as opposed to seeing with one's eye. So all of these verbs point towards acts of worship that are important, that bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that have no physical manifestation. And maybe because of that, they tend to be ignored a little, or they tend to be relegated to second place, as opposed to being treated among the other elevated acts of worship that we do every day. To reflect, to feel gratitude, to ponder, to reason, all of these are acts that are not constrained by any particular form, and that are not tied to any particular time or place. There is no season for reflection. There is no time for pondering, other than, as you see the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the other thing about them, about these acts of worship, is that they apply to all human beings. Any human being who has any ability to reason, however minimal that may be, is able and is invited to reflect, and is able and is invited to be thoughtful and to ponder and to consider and to consider and be grateful for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given that person. In that sense, these acts of worship are great equalizers. I mean, think about it. For instance, reading Quran is an act of worship. We all know that, right? But there are those who have certain advantages. right? If they're born speaking that language, or they find it easy to learn that language, or they're used to the similar script as the one that's used, they find it easier than others who are born not speaking the language, not knowing that script at all, not knowing that family at all, right? So there is a bit the same thing, leading prayer. You have a man who is an imam as opposed to, there are certain things that differentiate people in their acts of worship. However, when it comes to these acts of worship that I mentioned, reflection, pondering, being thoughtful, reasoning, there is really no way for one person to have anything that's better than others. I mean, they are really great equalizers. And this is truly acts of worship where everybody can be equal. And the only time you're not equal if somebody else does a better job reflecting than you do. These are really fantastic gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are acts that we can do at any time and at all times. And these are acts that can bring us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not 5 times a day only, but at any time during the day. I mean, I know, and people say, you pray 5 times a day, that must be hard. But I also know that there are among us people who say, I wish I could pray more than 5 times a day, because that's when I feel close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Well, with reflection, with pondering, with being reasonable, with consideration, tadabbur, all of that, we have the chance to be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to worship Him at all times. Now, this is all good, but I think we all know that reflecting and pondering and being thoughtful is very hard. I mean, when do we have the chance to do that? Like, when do people actually think? People talk, people read, people listen, people walk, people do things. When do they have time to think? And when do they have time to reflect? And when do they have time to ponder? I mean, we live in an interrupt-driven culture, interrupt-driven mode of communication. We're doing multiple things at the same time. We're probably not doing anything right at given time, but we're doing multiple things. And we're constantly being interrupted, and we're constantly consuming. We're consuming content. It could be good content. I'm not saying that. It could be good content, but we're constantly consuming, and we're processing maybe a little bit less. And we're pondering maybe a little bit less. So this is an act of worship that doesn't have any of the other prerequisites. It doesn't, you don't need wudu or you don't need any of that stuff. But it's hard. It's hard because of our lifestyle. It's hard because we are used to just taking in things, and maybe we're less used to considering them, and maybe we're less used to reflecting upon them. And I'm not, exempting myself from it. I struggle with exactly the same thing. So, I mean, how, if we look at some of the verses that I read, they give us, and others in the Quran, they give us clues. I mean, they give us hints as to what we need to do to be better at reflecting, and to be better at pondering, and at reasoning. So the verses I read, ليل لتسكنوا فيه, and then أزواج لتسكنوا إليه. These they use the same term here, which is sakan, finding rest or tranquility, which is the root word for sakina, the concept of tranquility or calmness or ease. It's a very rich concept, very hard to define. So maybe we look at that as a hint, and we say, okay, if we want to reflect, and if we want to be grateful, maybe we need to find that sakina, so that we're in the right state of mind. So our heart is able to accept whatever truth it is we are reflecting upon, or whatever ayah of the Quran that we happen to be reading at that time, and we happen to be pondering about. So both of these, they point, these ayahs and others, they point towards this concept of sakina. And how do we find sakina? And maybe that's a way of solving the conundrum of, okay, how do we put ourselves in the state of mind where we can actually reflect and ponder? And maybe we find the sakina in certain times. So the verse I had read before, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was pointing us to nighttime, right? He said, جَعَلَ لَكُمْ لَيْلًا لِتَسْكُنُوا فِيهِ. So it's not just about physical rest at night, but maybe it's also the concept, the calmness that comes at night. I mean, think about the moment where you decide that your work for the day is done. So it could be at night, could be late at night, could be early in the evening. You're like, you know what, I'm done for the day. I'm done. I've done what I need to do today, and I'm just going to relax. That moment when you just take that deep breath and you say, okay, that's it. I've done what I had to do today. I'm just going to relax. It could be I want to sleep, I want to read, whatever it is that you do when you want to relax. So that moment is a moment that maybe you should stop at, pause at, and thank Allah for it. Just try it tonight. Just try to find the moment tonight where you tell yourself, okay, that's it. I'm done for the day. I'm going to relax. And when you tell yourself that, try to also express gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It doesn't need to be complicated. فَادْعُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. That's all you need to do. Say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Thank Allah, the Lord of the worlds, for what He has given. And nighttime has other attributes, of course. So we know certain ibadat are better done at night, etc. Inna nashiyat al-layli ashaddu wat'an wa muqila. It is better for reading, for more impactful for repetition, for recitation and for worship. Now, if you're not a night person, seek the signs of Allah, seek time to reflect during the day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the day mubsira. It allows sight, it allows visibility, it provides that visibility into His signs, visibility into His creation, visibility into everything He has given us. Use that visibility to recognize what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us and to thank Him for it and to reflect upon it. Now, I mentioned about finding it in time. Maybe find it also in seasons. Like for instance, Ramadan is a season. The first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, the Jum'ah, Fridays. These are special times that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put special barakah in them. Use them and use those times to try to be in that state of mind, that tranquility, that peace, that you can actually properly reflect upon what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And then maybe the other thing I could say about time is about finding the sakina. Find it in certain places. Now, I wish I could say, find the sakina just in the masjid. Now, I know some of you are able, when you come to the masjid, you're able to find that peace, you're able to find that tranquility. But some of us have a bit more of a challenge with it. Sometimes our masajid are full of distractions. They tend to be just like our minds. They're bombarding us with information and things, and they could be distracting too. And the way for you to make a masjid a place where you can find this sakina, this peace, so you can properly reflect, is to prepare. You prepare before you come to the masjid. You make wudu, you walk slowly, so you're not rushing, you're not doing what sometimes I do, which is kind of the last person into the prayer and the first person out after the prayer. Try to give yourself time, try to give yourself some peace as you come to the masjid, and have purity of soul, of clothing, of your body. And when you come to the masjid, treat the masjid with respect and treat others who are at the masjid with respect. And then maybe try to find that peace also at home. وَاللَّهُ جَعَلَ لَكُم مِّن بُيُوتِكُمْ سَكَنًا. Allah has assigned for you your houses as places of comfort and of rest. And we all have that experience where we travel and sometimes we stay at nice hotels, sometimes not so nice hotels. But when we come home, we feel a certain restfulness that we didn't feel when we were outside. And then, one other thing where you can find this sakina is try to look for it. And I've looked for it in space, look for it in a particular place or particular time. Try to look for it in self, right? In yourself. Try to look inward and try to find that sakina in yourself. Try to understand yourself better, so that when you identify a weakness that you have, then you recognize how Allah has shown you so much mercy for overlooking that weakness. And when you find that you have certain strength, then thank Allah for it and use that strength to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, I mentioned all of these things, and what's the point of finding the sakina and of reflecting? The point is to draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The point is to learn how to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to learn how to love His Prophet because he was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he did everything he could, alayhi salatu wasalam, to bring us that message during his lifetime. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who reflect, who understand, and who use our reason and all of our faculties to draw close to Him. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. Indeed, Allah commands justice, grace, as well as courtesy or kindness to close relatives. He forbids indecency. He forbids evil. He forbids aggression. He instructs you, so perhaps you will be mindful. So perhaps you will be reminded. So this ayah that I just read, immediately some of you thought that I was just concluding the khutbah. And that's because this ayah has been read since the time of Khalifa Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. It was read as part of the last khutbah at the end of the khutbah. And this ayah is really very powerful. It has a summary of everything that is good. It enjoins us, it orders us to do everything that is good. Al-adl, ihsan, these are all good things, right? Justice, kindness. We all agree that these are good things. And it prevents us from doing everything that's evil, right? Evil, aggression, indecency, all of these things that are prohibited. And what's really interesting about it is that at the very end of the ayah, it's يَعِظُكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. He instructs you, so perhaps you will be mindful, or so perhaps you will be reminded. As if the whole point of these orders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the justice, the good, all of that, the staying away from everything that's bad, as if the whole point of all of this is to be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's to be reminded of His commandments. And one way to be in a state of mind, to be in a state of heart, where you can actually reflect properly upon the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to do good things in general that we all know, and to stay away from bad things. Because when we do these good things, we feel closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we stay away from bad things, we also feel closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah make us among those who obey Him and who strive to please Him, regardless of our shortcomings and our failings. And may Allah make us among those who reflect upon His signs and who ponder upon the verses of the Quran and who reason based on what we experience. And may Allah make us among those who are raised on the Day of Judgment in the company of the prophets, in the company of the sincere, of the martyrs, and of the upright. Ameen. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم واستجيبوا له وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استقيموا اعتدلوا. Straighten the lines. Fill in the gaps. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والذي يريكم آياته وينزل لكم من السماء رزقا وما يتذكر إلا من ينيب فادعوا الله مخلصين له الدين ولو كره الكافرون. رفيع الدرجات ذو العرش يلقي الروح من أمره على من يشاء من عباده لينذر يوم التلاق يوم هم بارزون لا يخفى على الله منهم شيء. لمن الملك اليوم لله الواحد القهار. اليوم تجزى كل نفس بما كسبت لا ظلم اليوم إن الله سريع الحساب. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الله الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. وأنذرهم يوم الآزفة إذ القلوب لدى الحناجر كاظمين ما للظالمين من حميم ولا شفيع يطاع يعلم خائنة الأعين وما تخفي الصدور والله يقضي بالحق والذين يدعون من دونه لا يقضون بشيء إن الله هو السميع البصير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Jazakallah khair to Brother Salah for the beautiful khutbah on reflection of the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all to reflect on the Quran. We have a very important, urgent announcement for the flooding that is happening in Pakistan. Our community partners, Helping Hand and Muslim Aid, are outside here because this is truly a disaster of epic proportions, where over 15% of the country, 33 million people, upwards of 33 million people are displaced, including 3 to 4 million children. So it's really an epic disaster and flooding that's happening in Pakistan for the past 2 or 3 months. So for that reason, we have Helping Hand and Muslim Aid here raising funds, and you can find them outside the Musalla, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brothers and sisters all around the world that are suffering. May Allah alleviate their suffering. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. In terms of the MAPS announcements, we have the Hifz program with Sheikh Aslam. Alhamdulillah, our students are diligently making their progress on memorizing the Quran. If you would like to join that, we have a morning program as well as an evening program with Sheikh Aslam, and you can register on our website. There's an art competition for youth from ages 6 and up, from first grade up all the way till middle school. And that will be on September 30th. You do need to register, and there will be prizes and trophies as well. So we're looking forward to that, inshallah ta'ala. Registration for our other educational programs, including our Quran classes and Sunday school, is all open. We are also looking for some teachers for some of these classes. So if you are interested in giving back to the youth and in volunteering or There's also paid opportunities as well as volunteer opportunities. We are looking for people that can give back to the youth. Alhamdulillah, a lot of our students were online last year, but now everyone is coming back in person. So we do need those in-person teachers, inshallah, both on Sundays and during the weekdays. We have the MAPS Youth registration and officer applications available. And the fall quarter for MAPS Youth, which is for our high schoolers, that program will start on September 30th. It's a youth group, inshallah, here at MAPS. In terms of weekly halaqas, we have the Friday Muslim Experience with Brother Ala tonight at 7:30. Sheikh Juban's Sunday Tafsir is cancelled as he is traveling. And we wish him a safe trip back, inshallah. We also have Quran study for young professionals at 7 p.m. on Tuesday with myself here. The Sunday Youth Halaqa is also cancelled with Imam Akram. The Monday Conviction as well in MAP Seattle also cancelled this week as Imam Akram is traveling. And we have the Thursday Halaqa with Ustada Sally also at MAP Seattle at 7 p.m. inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Please donate generously to support your masjid. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.